Hi, my name is Jason Lanier, guys. I just wanted to film a quick video. I'm a Sony Artisan of Imagery, and today Sony put out the bat beacon. They put out the big AOI Artisan of Imagery light sign in the sky, and the Artisans had a phone call. We were able to hear all about the Sony A7R II. I know you guys have lots of questions about it, and I'm going to answer what I know. I'm just going to give you guys some information, my first thoughts on hearing about the camera, talking officially with Sony, as all of my other Artisan team got to do, and just sharing a little bit about what we found out, and I hope it helps. All right, so guys, what do you need to know about the A7R II? The major functions, the major features on the A7R II is of course it's 42 megapixels, which is, I mean, come on, if you want to see the moon, that's a perfect camera to do it. It gives you a lot of functionality with that, which is fantastic. But what Sony really wanted to stress today was the sensor. The sensor on the A7R II is the great breakthrough. That's the innovation. They showed us some really cool slides where they actually moved the photo sights up. So I'll find out if I can share them. If I can, I'll post it on this video. But on the sensor, they actually moved the photo sights up, meaning it will collect more light, and it actually makes the resolution on the camera that much better, and it increases the ISO sensitivity. So even though there's 42 megapixels crammed onto that sensor, it's the first backlighted full frame sensor on the market, which is fantastic. I can't wait to get my hands on one. I haven't touched one yet, so these are just my first thoughts on what I've been told. When I get my hands on one, I'll certainly share more with you guys. But that sensor is a huge deal. Has 5-axis image stabilization, so you can shoot. Me personally, I'm sure it's going to mirror something similar to the A7 Mark II. Personally, I've shot at a 1/6 of a second handheld with no problem with the A7 Mark II. And the 5-axis image stabilization from that Mark II was brought over into the A7R II, which is awesome. Something that they also did in the sensor design is they changed the wiring. They went to copper wiring inside of the A7R II, and that sounds like this little tiny thing that nobody should care about, but because they did that, it actually changed the transfer rate, it changed the readout rate, and it makes the A7R II 3.5 times faster. So when you're shooting at 42 megapixels, and it can actually go through that information and get it out, it's significant in how much it can change it. So I'm excited about that. What else? It has a full magnesium alloy body. It's the first A7, the first Sony mirrorless camera to do that. So, you know, there's a lot of complaints that people put out there about the fact that, oh, these are toys and they're not great cameras because of that, and if you drop it, it's going to break. Well, personally, I've dropped my A7s a million times. I've had water crash over them. You guys have seen my videos. I don't have to convince you. You've watched. But having a full magnesium alloy body, front, back, and middle is significant. One of the huge complaints about the A7R is the shutter. And yes, when you click the shutter on the A7R, it could probably wake up somebody 5,000 miles away. The A7R II has a shutter. We're listening to it today. It's very similar to what I hear on the A7 II, which is great. What they also did is they took the silent shutter feature that is on the A7S and they put it on the A7R II. So that's fantastic. Pretty much, guys, the A7R II is taking all the best bits of all the A7s and making what I believe will be the best camera in the world. When I get my hands on one in July or August, I can't wait to show you guys what this puppy can do. But the shutter and it has less vibration, which will mean steadier shots, less distortion. It's just going to be awesome. The other thing that's really awesome on it is this is the first camera rated at 500,000 actuations. So when people talk about Sony cameras not being tough compared to Nikon or Canon, I mean, the fact that this thing is rated for 500,000 actuations or cycles, that's insane. That's fantastic. So we're talking about a camera that will last you for years and years and years and years and years. This camera is also amazing because it has, wait for it, 399 focal points. Now what this equates to is the most focal points of any camera in the world. It covers 90% of the sensors, so you're talking about just absolute ridiculous coverage. For those of you out there who have used the A6000, has 179 focal points. So actually, when you look at the A6000 and the A7R II, when you break down the sensor size, because the A6000 is a crop sensor, it's about the same. So meaning, if you guys love the autofocus, just how fast it is, how much it covers so much of the sensor on the A6000, that's what you're going to get on the A7R II. I can't believe the camera does all of these things. So as a way of kind of telling you guys how good that is, the A7R II is 40% faster than the A7R. So again, I can't wait to get my hands on this camera. Another complaint about the A7 cameras, the A7R, A7S, and I agree with this, is the menu, the dial layout is what I should say. You know, it's kind of old and clunky, whereas the A7 II came out and it really was like that mini DSLR, and it really reminded me of my Nikon. I think these are based much more on kind of a Nikon layout, which is why it feels just at home for me. And the A7R II follows that. It has the grip, it's weather sealed. It has the grip, and the cool thing, if you buy the extended grip for the A7 II, that'll actually work on the A7R II. So Sony's really thinking ahead and trying to give us options that we can use for the future. Now, I mentioned earlier about ISO. The A7R goes up to 100,000, 102,000 ISO. Now, that's not native ISO. You guys know I've preached and preached about looking at native ISO, not expanded. So until I get it in my hands, I can't really comment on the ISO until I get it in my hands, to be candid with you guys. But because of the sensor design and the way that it was made, the A7R II definitely has a lot better ISO sensitivity, especially compared to the A7R. And the fact that they actually went up in megapixels, but they are now even providing better ISO, it's awesome. And I love the fact that I shoot a camera that is giving me so many options. Now, here's the thing that I think is going to excite the photography community at large more than anything. I think it's the fact that the A7R II, because of the way that they built the sensor, it is now enabling adapters like Metabones, which I have bashed Metabones. I have been an unabashed opponent of those adapters, only because of the fact that they don't work very well. At least they didn't on the previous Sonys, and I didn't see the purpose in buying, you know, spending $400, $500, $600 on an adapter if it didn't work. Now, apparently, the Mark IV Metabones version of their adapter and other adapters that have the auto functionality, they will allow Canon users to take their Canon lenses with that adapter, put it on a Sony camera, on the A7R II is what I should say, and get amazing autofocus. I mean, amazing autofocus. Like this. I've seen videos, I've seen other artisans like my buddy Miguel Aquiles, who did a video. He had a prototype in his hand, and he was messing around with it and showing just how fast, even a Tamron lens, a Tamron 4 Canon lens, he was showing how fast it focused, which I thought was really cool. So if you're a Canon user, that's big news, because most of us don't switch over because of the fact that we have issues with, geez, I don't want to switch over all my glass. They also answered another thing for us today, which was awesome, in that I've always wondered why Nikon doesn't have any adapters that have auto functionality with the Sony cameras, because I'll tell you what, I have a ton of Nikon lenses and I still can't use them except for manual focus. And they explained it. Canon lenses, the newer ones, are all electronic, whereas the Nikon lenses have mechanical functionality to them. There's literally mechanical function to their lenses, which makes it incredibly hard for companies like Metabones to reverse engineer them. So that's why us Nikon users are still not as lucky as the Canon users. So again, if you're a Canon user, this is huge news. My assistant now has A7 bodies and a Sony cameras, but she hasn't switched over her lenses yet, just because she hasn't had a chance to Craigslist them yet. But now she won't have to. This is super awesome news. So for you Canon users out there, I'll tell you, this is huge. Along those lines, you know, you guys know I'm a huge proponent of the LAEA4 adapter. Using it with Sony lenses, Sony A-mount lenses, so Sony didn't forget their Sony customers and their A-mount customers, which is awesome. With Sony cameras, now with the LAEA3 adapter, which is actually cheaper, you can, with a lot of the Sony lenses, not the screw mount lenses. The screw mount lenses, you're still, and if you guys want to know which ones, you're going to have to look them up, just Google it. But with the screw mount Sony A-mount lenses, you're going to continue to use the LAEA4 adapter. With a lot more of the modern lenses, you're going to use the LAEA3 adapter, which again is cheaper, and it kicks butt from what I've told. Haven't used it, and when I get a chance, and I've asked Sony to give me one as a loaner so I can test it out, I will share that with you guys. And apparently it improves the functionality for us to take that A-mount glass and use it on this A7R II at a much better rate. Just significantly better autofocus. And you know, for those of you guys who use the LAEA4 adapter, you know we have a small little grid in the middle. Apparently that's been increased, so we have a lot more range on the sensor. So this is big news, because Sony is really putting their foot out there and trying to do anything possible to make it feasible for photographers of other manufacturers to look into Sony, and I think it's incredibly smart. I can't forget, you guys know I film lots of video, I can't forget the fact that the A7R II does internal 4K video. So for those of you guys out there who film lots of video like I do, internal 4K is absolutely huge. Just to be able to get stunning results. What Sony's doing with these cameras is game changing. And this is what we've been looking for in the industry. I seriously have nothing against Nikon or Canon, I really don't. They're tools. I love the fact that I'm an artisan of imagery, but if Sony sucked, I wouldn't be part of the program. When we're doing these videos, it's because we're excited. It's because people have interest and they want to watch it. And it's because of the fact that Nikon and Canon have been so slow with their innovation over the last 5-10 years that it's opened the door for Sony to come in, and Fuji and Olympus and other folks to come in and really give us options. And that's all I'm looking for, are options. So I hope this video has helped. I hope that it helps answer a few questions out there. From what I understand, the only prototypes in the world are now back in Japan after they just did the announcement here in the US. So none of us can get our hands on them, but when I do, and I hope to be one of the first, when I do, I can't wait to share it with you guys. It's about $3,200 for the camera, $3,199, so it still comes in at a very reasonable price, comparatively speaking. And the other thing I'll say is I think that it's going to take the mantle, it's going to take the title of the best all-around camera in the world. I really do. 42 megapixels, 5-axis image stabilization, 4K video, the ability to use Canon lenses, Sony A-mount lenses, E-mount lenses, FE-mount lenses. It's the most flexible camera out there. It's tough. Magnesium alloy body, weather sealing, the dials. It's just the things that it does, I think, are going to blow people away. And I would just tell people out there, regardless of whatever you shoot, open your mind to possibilities out there. Don't think that you have to shoot one thing. You don't. Just be open to other possibilities out there, and you might be surprised at what you find. So until next time, keep shooting, never give up on your dreams. Guys, please share, subscribe my video, share my video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment, guys. Leave a comment, let me know what questions you guys have. I'll do my best as time permits to be able to answer them. But I thank you guys for watching, and remember, as I always say, never give up on your dreams, and remember, you only have one chance to get it right. Talk to you later.